Live from the local station, this is Weather Authority Weekday.
Well, good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Holtzman here. It's Weather Authority Weekday, our Monday edition, and we are off to a new week. It certainly has been an unsettled stretch of weather this weekend. We saw beneficial rainfall, and by the way, it was over a month since we saw beneficial rainfall across our area. Now, right before I was about to go on the air, we were actually tracking a breaking weather story. If you certainly got your news app, you got the alert, and there was a very strong earthquake in Japan. So let me show you the earthquake report as the earth spins there. This is off the northeast coast of Japan. You can see Tokyo to the south, and then to the north, that's where that earthquake happened. Registered as a magnitude 7.6 on the Richter scale, and this is what it looks like. So the Richter scale, it's a logarithmic scale, meaning that as you go up in magnitude, the intensity increases exponentially. It's not the same increase in intensity. So when you get those very strong earthquakes, look at that 7.6 magnitude, that's classified as a strong earthquake and can do serious damage across the area. We've already seen some videos online showing really things shaking and rumbling, and that is an indication of a very strong earthquake. Last time I checked as well, there was a tsunami alert issued for the east coast of Japan. And there could be, as the Japan Meteorological Agency said, perhaps a tsunami up to 10 feet. We'll see if that continues, the threat for that. But that's typical when you get those earthquakes offshore that generates a big wave or a tidal wave. And that's what can lead to significant damage of that tsunami, and that wave moves onshore. By the way, you might be wondering, well, why does Japan and areas in the Pacific get so many earthquakes out there? We call this the Ring of Fire, and this is all the way up and down the west coast of the United States, up into Canada, Alaska. Most of these earthquakes you don't feel, but typically you could get a very strong one on occasion, and that's why we certainly have seen many reports in those locations. We had that big earthquake off of Alaska, if you recall, a couple of months ago. But let me show you here as we advance over to Japan. That lies right over the Ring of Fire. This is an area where many plates collide, and when you get the collision in plates, that generates that shaking and that force, and that's what we call an earthquake. And you can see over Japan, the entire country is over that at least Ring of Fire area. And this is where over 70% of the Earth's earthquakes and volcanoes occur, and that is right over that location. So folks in Japan are used to earthquakes, but when you get those very strong ones, that certainly leads to a significant damage with the infrastructure in that area. So we are keeping a very close eye on that, but again, not seeing any reports of a tsunami actually moving over land. Let me show you as well. You might be wondering, well, what are some of these faults? Now, in a normal fault, we have a block above the fault line moves downward, and you can see relative to the block below, and that collision allows for a earthquake to generate that rumbling in the ground. But there's a couple of other faults that we look at as well. In fact, here's one of them right here, a reverse fault. So this is pretty interesting. The block above the fault line moves up and over the lower block, and that creates that little collision, allowing the earthquake to develop. And then we do have another fault as well, and that's called a strike-slip fault, and that is when two blocks slide past each other side by side. And again, that's why we see those earthquakes so often, because there's many fault lines in that area, many plates that collide. Most of the earthquakes, again, you really don't feel, but those ones that you see that are at the top of the scale, certainly very notable across the area there. So again, we are keeping an eye on Japan throughout the day today. Now, that earthquake actually struck at 9 o'clock or 9:15 our time Eastern. In Japan, that is likely around at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. their time. So it's actually nighttime there right now, heading into Tuesday. So again, something we'll keep an eye on, of course, as that was just breaking across our area. Just want to finish, you can see those three faults there that I talked about: the normal fault, the reverse fault, and also the strike-slip fault. So pretty interesting information, but yeah, that can happen there, and unfortunately, it looks like this was a pretty notable quake with that impact. All right, let's head locally now, because our story here across southeast Georgia, northeast Florida, has been the rain. We'll call it liquid gold. We were wondering what was falling from the sky the entire month of November. Very dry across our area. We did not pick up any rain at the airport in Jacksonville, so it was the driest November on record. And December, well, Mother Nature's like not so fast because we are getting some rain. Now, not a large amount to put a dent in the drought, but we'll certainly take anything that we can get. Notice our rainfall totals over the past couple of days. Many spots recording generally an inch to even close to 2 inches to 3 inches in some of those areas in southeast Georgia. That was courtesy of that slow moving front that was pushing from north to south. So that slow movement of the front is why we've certainly seen rain pick up across our area. Yesterday, very wet, of course, for the Jaguars game. We were looking at that rain. In fact, we do have some photos from the Jaguars game, so we'll pull those up and you can see it certainly was a great victory, and it was a wet game. We had heavy rain falling throughout the game and everybody wearing ponchos. You can see that throughout the game there, and that created for some of those wet conditions on the field. And of course, if you were out at any point during the day on Sunday, you certainly had the umbrella with you as the rain was falling very heavily. But again, beneficial rain across our area. We certainly need it. And as we head through the rest of the day, most of the rain has tapered off. In fact, here's a look at live radar. We do have a small craft advisory off the coast with some of the wind, but really very light activity across portions of, you can see Lake City into Columbia County, right along the Florida-Georgia line, and that's there over Charlton County, and that is pushing to the east. So some low clouds, mist and drizzle are possible this morning. The radar is not detecting it, and you might be wondering, well, why, if we're seeing that drizzle and mist, is the radar beam not showing it? It's because this is very low in the atmosphere. The radar beam from the site goes up with height, so it misses a lot of that lower level moisture. And that is why we are looking at really nothing on radar, even though some of us are seeing some of that low-level cloud and mist activity around across our area. Now, you might be wondering as well, as we pull the radar up full, you can see that we do have that shower activity around. And we had our News4JAX reporter, Sophia Vitello. She spoke to our crime and safety analyst about driving in the rain. So as we continue through the week, we're dry. However, we are watching the potential perhaps for a few showers over the weekend. And let's toss to Sophia now with some information about driving in the rain.
You have to leave distance between the car in front of you and yourself because you just don't know what's going to happen.
News4JAX crime and safety analyst Tom Hackney says when rain starts coming down, it's normal to see a lot of this on the road.
So from your time at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, would you say that you would often see when there was a rain event or a weather event, you'd see all these crashes start piling up?
Oh, absolutely. And again, like we kind of started about, it's when it starts raining, people seem to just forget all things that they need to think about when it's raining.
Hackney says something people need to be checking on are their windshield wipers. He says those being in good shape are pivotal for preventing crashes.
Think about those when it's dry out, but you can bet your bippy when it starts raining, and if those aren't in good shape, you're limited your visibility.
And along with those wipers, brakes and tires play a big role in safety too.
You see a lot of people who don't have bald tires, who don't have good tires. So that's really crucial for moving water out of underneath your tires. You get hydroplaning, so you add speed and water and bad tires, limited visibility. All these things come together, and we have things that happened like we did last night happened today. And
Hackney recommends slowing down in the rain and keeping a safe following distance from the car in front of you. And if you can avoid driving in the rain at all, he says stay home.
And that was Sophia Vitello reporting. Great information on how to drive in the rain. Remember, you want to drive slowly and make sure not to follow too close to the car in back of you. That road surface is wet, and that greatly reduces the amount of distance that you have with the car in front of you. So great information there. And let's take a look at what's happening right now locally, because we are starting to see improvement. That front is slowly clearing across our area. So what that front's doing is it is moving to our south, and what that means for our area is we are looking at a little bit more sunshine, and we're not going to rule that out throughout the day. Even this morning driving into work, I saw some of that sunshine near Jacksonville, but for the most part, most of the rain is coming to an end. Live look there in Julington Creek. And we are looking at, again, some sunshine across our area. Temperature there of 59 degrees. So the more sunshine we get, the warmer it'll be. Most of us generally will be in the 60s for the day today, but not going to rule out some spots hitting 70 if we get enough sunshine over our area. Live look there in St. Augustine. Beautiful looking shot here. And we are looking at some of that clouds, a bit more cloudy here. And we are looking at as well a bit of a breeze. You can see the palm trees moving just a little bit there over downtown St. Augustine for the area there. Live look, Jacksonville International, and we are looking across our area at more clouds. So we picked up over an inch of rain at the airport in Jacksonville, needed rainfall. But now again, we are starting to dry out across our region. A temperature there with a little bit of sunshine at about 59 degrees. Now, in terms of our forecast, let me show you clouds and radar. And there's that front to our south. So as you look right over Florida, that front is positioned right over, we'll say South Florida near Miami. So north of the front, that is allowing for some cooler weather to move in with a northerly wind. There's actually a good amount of snow, and I'll talk about this in just a moment at the end of the stream. Snow in Washington, D.C. When we talk about our national weather, but this system is bringing the season's first snow there. But here in Florida, again, that front is pushing south. We're starting to see some drier air moving. Notice over the panhandle, though, some of that light green. There could be a few showers through at least lunchtime. And then we do dry out as we head into the afternoon. That area of high pressure to our west over Texas, that moves in on Tuesday, and we'll see more sunshine, slightly cooler weather with a northerly wind, with highs likely near 60 by Tuesday. But in terms of our local weather right now, zooming in, you can see the wind is fairly light across our area. We're getting that northerly wind direction now. Temperatures, we range from 53 in Waycross, 56 in St. Mary's, near 60 in Mayport, Green Cove Springs, and Clay County there, 60, Palatka, right around 60 as well. And we're in the mid-50s for Lake City there in Columbia County. So a bit cool out there. Definitely want to bundle up if you are heading out. And as we head over the next couple of hours looking at our forecast, we are looking at temperatures generally in the 60s, and then eventually we'll be back into the 50s by this evening with a couple of showers very early in the day. And then there's that clearing, as I mentioned, into tomorrow morning. We are looking at a partly cloudy sky, and temperatures will be a bit cooler. In fact, we're tracking some chilly temperatures with lows in the 40s over the next few nights. But we'll be tracking that as we head into the morning hours on Tuesday. Now, in terms of temperatures tonight, there will likely be a stretch of 30s west of I-95. So generally into some of our more outlying counties there, into Columbia County, 39 in Lake City, 35 in Waycross tonight. We have McClenny at 37 along and east of the metro. We're a little bit more mild out there with temperatures in the 40s, generally 40s to right around 50 degrees. So again, as you head out Tuesday morning, make sure to bundle up as we are tracking a chilly start to our day. And temperatures by the afternoon rebound back into the 50s and 60s. So because we have that area of high pressure moving in, we're getting a northerly wind. It's actually a bit cooler out there compared to today. And that is why we are looking at temperatures right around 60 for many locations. So the jacket will be needed throughout the entire day, but at least we have more sunshine as opposed to what we saw on Sunday and today. And really Sunday, we didn't see any sunshine for that matter. So futurecast showing throughout the day on Tuesday, a few clouds, that's about it. So we'll put our clouds and radar forecast into motion. And what we're looking at is that area of high pressure will start to move in by Tuesday. By Wednesday, we're tracking another front even into Thursday. Really not expecting any rain with that. In fact, that's a dry passage, but that front will be bringing more sunshine behind it with high pressure moving in. So that is a dry front that we are looking at. And then eventually high pressure will be right over us by the end of the week into the weekend. Could have another system approach, by the way, portions of the mid-Atlantic and also New England as an area of low pressure moves out of Canada, but high pressure is over Florida, so we are looking at a relatively dry forecast around our region. So looking at our 7-day, breaking that down, we are looking at certainly temperatures in the 60s to right around 60 by Monday and Tuesday. So for today and tomorrow, overnight lows in the 40s, 30s are likely, especially away from the metro. And then as we head into the middle to the end of the week, we are looking at highs near 60 with overnight lows in the 40s. So that's your local forecast. We'll be right back, and I'll have more details on our national forecast for tomorrow and beyond. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Well, let's take a look at our national forecast now, because we're entering winter, of course, at the end of the month. Look at some of these temperatures. These are right now across the country. So here in Florida, Jacksonville's at 58, 70 in Tampa. Again, that front is still moving through the central and south Florida, which is why it's a bit warmer there. But again, compared to most of the country, we're doing just fine here in Jacksonville with temperatures near 60. Look at as you head north. Temperatures across the upper plains into New England, we're looking at a temperature in the teens and 20. So teens and 20s to the north, and areas out west, we are looking at 40s and 50s across our area. But look at the wind chill. So remember, when you factor in the wind, this is what it feels like. And most of Minnesota, North and South Dakota, over to portions of Wisconsin, have a wind chill around or under zero. So below zero. That is very cold out there. And you can see the wind chill as well off into the New England area, teens and even single digits across the region. By the way, remember I mentioned that the snow has been falling. Let's advance one more frame here. Look at our current snow cover. You can see across the mid-Atlantic and also portions of the plains. Snow cover for some spots is over a foot to even 2 feet of snow. And we certainly have seen that, especially across portions of the Twin Cities. In fact, snow has been falling across the Twin Cities, and more is on the way. And it's been tough on commuters, but skiers, of course, are smiling. John Lorstein shows us why the early season cold and snow is welcome.
I'm going to try to do 10K and then wrap it up because it's my first ski of the year and I don't want to be too sore tomorrow.
A combination of cold weather and fresh powder serves as a beacon for cross-country skiers eager to hit the trails.
Well, I'd say cross-country skiers are the interesting group that when they see temps drop, we get pumped.
Unlike most of the week, Friday morning wasn't bitterly cold, providing comfortable conditions at Theoworth Regional Park in Golden Valley.
It is so helpful for us. You know, we always have winter at Worth regardless of natural snow, but this year we not only have, we'll eventually have 7 kilometers of machine-made snow, but we also have up to 30 kilometers of natural snow that will fill in here over the next couple of weeks.
It's definitely a different feel than what they've seen in recent years. This is the natural snow area of Theoworth Park, and for the past 3 years, they haven't been able to ski here due to a lack of snow. Now, during the first week of December, that isn't a problem.
Yeah. But just having the addition of the natural trails this year has opened up just so much and is one of the best parts of living in Minnesota.
They only hope the winter wonderland sticks around for the rest of the season.
To be able to do this in early December is huge for Minnesota nowadays.
There's an amazing sense of freedom of just being able to hit the slopes, and I think for many of us right now, you can clear your head and just be in the moment.
Well, I'm getting goosebumps just seeing that, right? Look at how cold it is out there. Of course, growing up in New England, I'm from Connecticut, certainly used to snow like that. I went to college in Vermont, so we've seen scenes like that. The skiers, of course, are very happy. By the way, in Washington, D.C., that system I was just talking to about earlier in the stream has brought the season's first snow to the area, and some spots there perhaps could pick up a few inches of snow. In fact, there it is right there. You can see the snow falling. It looks like that's at one of the shopping areas there in D.C., and they are expecting a couple of inches, perhaps 1 to 2 inches. And even you can see over the plain there, they're spraying what we call de-icing fluid as it's so cold. And with the moisture building up on the plain, that's what leads to certainly the potential for some icing at the airport. So great video there. Many folks up north getting their first snow of the season, and you can see them de-icing the planes. It looks like that's at the Baltimore airport there in Maryland. But for the most part, again, that snow will continue to fall throughout the day, as you can see some of that snow falling right now. So a little taste of winter for many folks out there across the mid-Atlantic. But look at our snow cover once again. That's where most of the snow is, generally north of, say, Virginia. In fact, right over Virginia, that's where they're getting some of that snow right now. So pretty interesting shot there of the snow coverage. And, well, how about in Iowa? We do have a baby snow monkey at the Des Moines Zoo experiencing snow for the first time. Look at that. They're wondering what that is. That's a really nice video there. Kind of afraid to step in it, but great shot there. And certainly more snow to come, especially in Iowa, as it is a pretty snowy winter there on average. All right, well, there's our snow cover again. We'll move on, and let me show you our overall setup, because we do have as well the jet stream sinking south. So across to the southeast, showers in the southeast will be around as the system moves over the area. The jet stream is more to the south. We should generally be fairly dry over our area, but again, rain will be possible to the north. And our overall setup, we have a westerly flow, and that's bringing warmer temperatures to the west coast. East coast, though, We do have below normal temperatures remaining as close to a dip in the polar jet stream in the eastern U.S. That's why temperatures are close to 20 to even 30 degrees below normal in some spots across the eastern United States. Here in Florida, though, we're fairly seasonable, average highs in the upper 60s to mid 60s, but for the most part, we are looking at generally temperatures right around there or just below that, with that jet stream moving over the United States. Snowfall forecast, you can see another batch of some snow across the upper plains into New England, the mountains as well, off into the northwest. For the Pacific area there, you can see some of that snow piling up, and that continues as we head through the Wednesday of next week. So that's through at least 7 to 12 days in the future, where most of the snow will stay off to the north. By the way, high temperatures for the day today. Some spots with snow, hard to warm up as that snow absorbs a lot of the sunlight that impacts temperatures. And as a result, the temperatures will likely be in the 20s to right around 30 degrees for the upper plains to portions of the mid-Atlantic, also into New England, with temperatures perhaps across northern New England stuck in the teens and 20s today. For the rest of the country, though, we are looking at warmer temperatures off to our west, southwest, especially into the southwest area there, with temperatures near 80. And here in Florida, we're looking at temperatures locally in Jacksonville right around 63, and then a little bit warmer south of that front where it still has to clear, with temperatures in Miami. How about that? 85 degrees. Just had a few hours to the south, and you'll get 80s in your forecast. But overall, do want to finally conclude here with our overall setup for tomorrow, because we are looking at the jet stream to remain to our north, but it is bringing in a westerly flow continues, and that will bring in warmer temperatures to the northwest. But here in the east, again, we're still tracking below normal temperatures, and that is closer to the coast as the polar jet stream continues moving east. And I do want to show you as well, as we continue over the next frames, over the next 2 days, there goes that system in the mid-Atlantic there for Virginia. But a couple of systems continue over the northern part of the country. There's some of that snow, likely in Alberta Clipper. That's what we call that batch of snow near Wisconsin. And that typically is a fast-moving, low accumulation event there. And that goes all the way to the northeast. But again, you see the Tuesday system tracks remain over the northern U.S. with several waves of snow and even sleet and freezing rain and snow totals, as I mentioned, over the next few days. We are looking at that. Do want to finally end with our climate over the next couple of months. Again, we did see some measurable rain. That's good news. We are forecast to be in a La Nina, which typically brings drier weather to the southeast. So we'll take any rain we can get. But with the La Nina event, we are looking at typically on average a drier forecast. This is from December through early next year, so encompassing most of the winter. And we have a better chance of being below normal in terms of our precipitation across portions of the low country of South Carolina down to Georgia and also Florida, where we see that. Now, in terms of our temperature, typically during a La Nina winter, we see mild temperatures, or at least above normal temperatures. There will be cold spells in between, but our temperature outlook across the area, we are looking at certainly seeing a greater coverage of some of those warmer temperatures over the southeastern United States. So a lot to talk about, from earthquakes to our local weather to our national weather. You can get all of this information every day here on our 11 o'clock show for our Weather Authority weekday. But for now, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. We'll be back on air at noon and this evening with the latest information. Have a great rest of your day.
See why every day more people are choosing News4JAX, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.